Okay, are you ready to start learning how to program iOS 9 apps? The first thing we're going to do, if you have not already done so, is we're going to download Xcode, which is Apple's developer environment. This is where all of the apps will be built. All right, so in order to find that, you're going to go to developer.apple.com/Xcode. It'll get you to this page. And I want you to take a look through this. There's a lot of great information in this page. All right, let's move along. We're going to go to download, and we're going to go down to, I'm currently working in the Xcode 7.0.1. So go ahead and say view that in the Mac, and go ahead and just go about your process for downloading any of the apps that you usually do. I've already downloaded this, so I'm not going to really go through that part. But once you download it, you are then going to find it in your applications. So let's give that a shot. We'll go up to our application. And usually, if it's like mine, it's going to be way at the bottom. And, well, here's the beta one down here, but I really have an updated one on my desk. So you're going to go down there, and you're going to click on it. So let's open one up. And when you click on it, you'll probably see a welcome screen like this. The first thing we're going to do is we're just going to go down here where it says Create New Xcode Project. Click on that. And what we're going to have is a single view application. Make sure it's set to iOS and application. Click Next. I'm just going to call this my guess game. And if you're not familiar with any of this, this is going to be your organization name. You could put anything in here you want. Same as with the organization identifier. Once you start learning to upload apps to the App Store, this becomes very important on what you are naming these, as well as your bundle identifier. But for the purpose of this tutorial, you could just put your own name and just a domain name in reverse. So mine's com.thecodelady. It doesn't really matter. You can uncheck core data because we're not going to be using it in this tutorial. The language is set to Swift, although you could use Objective-C, but we're using Swift. Devices right now is set to iPhone, but you could set it to iPad or Universal. And we're going to click Next. You're going to have this create in whatever folder you want to save it in. Just give ourselves a little bit of room here. And we're going to start with an opening screen like this. Now this could look real intimidating if you're not used to working in Xcode. However, by the time you're finished with this tutorial, this will become pretty familiar to you. So the first thing we're going to do, over here, you'll see it says My Guest Game. These are going to be your app files. So what we're going to do is we're going to start something called the main.storyboard, where we're actually going to build out the interface. So I'm going to click on main.storyboard. I'm just going to give ourselves some room here. And this is where we're going to add all of our buttons and spinner wheels and text fields and things like that. So where do we find all that stuff? Well, we're going to go to the right-hand pane. And if you don't see this on your right-hand side, and it's just a blank space like this, go up to your upper right-hand corner. You're going to click on the far right button, and that'll open it up. All right, this is sort of our inspections pane, our attributes pane. And down here, you'll see all these wonderful things that you can add to your apps. We've got labels and buttons, segmented controls, text fields, switch statements, sliders, all these cool things that you see in all the apps that you use every day. So what we want to do is we want to first drag out a couple of labels. So I see one here. So I'm just going to pull that up. And I need a few of them. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right. Now these are going to say car, house, boat, and tree. Now, if you're brand new to working in Xcode and you're looking at this storyboard and saying, hey, that doesn't look like any iPads or iPhone screen I've ever seen. Well, you're right. And when you get a little bit more advanced, you're going to start dealing with auto layout and constraints. But for right now, let's make it look a little bit more intuitive. So all I'm doing is just clicking on this yellow button, just sort of highlights it. I'm going to go over to this arrow pointing down. It's the third from the right. The first line says size. I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to switch it to the iPhone 4.7. There we go. Now we can make things look a little bit more intuitive. So I'm going to slide my labels over. There we go, and just kind of making them look a little nice. I'm going to change the name of each one. So on this one, I'm just going to double click on it. I'm going to call it car. And then next one, I'm going to call this boat. And the next one, double clicking, house. And the next one, I could also just double click, but in case you want to do it another way, I simply go up to here where it says label. If it wasn't highlighted, you wouldn't see it. But if I highlight it, it says label. And it says the word here, label. So again, this is just an alternative to double clicking. And I'm just going to type in the word tree, and it'll change this. Now, as a shortcut, I want to grab all 4 of them. So I'm going to click on one, hold down my shift key, and click the remaining 3. And then I'm going to just have them all be text align center. So again, my label is highlighted. I'm going to align the text to the center of the space. It doesn't really look like a lot of it moved, but it will. I'm also going to, let's see, I think what I'll do is first, before I do any more coloring, I'm going to go to this one next to it, which is actually show the size inspector. Click on that. And I want to give the width, I guess I might say 75. And then I'm going to tab over, and my height, I'm going to just call it 50. That looks fine. I'm going to go back into my Show Attributes Inspector, which is the 3rd from the right. And now what I want to do is I want to change the background color. So if you scroll down under where it says View, you'll see something called Background with this default. I'm just going to click on that arrow, and I'm going to change the background to another color. Now I've got a bunch of previously used colors up here, but if you don't, just click on the word Other. This little color thing will come up for you, and you can go through and pick one, or pick one just from the list, however you like to pick a color. This gives you lots of options. So I'm going to just, let's see, I'm going to do here. Nope, I'm going to do there. And, like a kind of a greenish color. I'll play around with it. That's good enough. Click on that down here. Awesome. And now, again, I want to click on all of them or just select them all like that. And I want to go back up. I'm still under my labels where it says color. This is going to be the font color. Click on that, and I'm just going to pick the white color, which should be in your list. While I'm also here, it says font system. Mine says 7.0. I want to click that up a little bit, make it a little bit larger. That looks good. All right. So I'm going to move them around. Like I said, if you get further along in your app development career, we're going to learn about auto constraints and how to make these things line up real nice. But in the meantime, the Xcode gives you these blue sort of helper lines to let you know that it appears to look lined up. All right, that's good. Perfect. The next thing I need is a text field for the user to type in their answer. So I'm going to go down here, the lower right-hand corner. I'm going to start typing the word text field because this list can get quite long. So it'll help me filter through. I need this text field. I'm going to drag it out. And I'm just going to grab each side just to make it longer. Looks good. I'm not going to worry about the height or anything in this. And I want to give the user a little bit of a hint about what they're supposed to do in here. So here I am. It's highlighted as text field. Again, if it was not highlighted, it'll just say view, referring to this whole view. If I click on the text field, now I can manipulate the properties of the text field. So I'm going to go down, about 5 or 6 lines down, where it says placeholder. Here we go, placeholder. And this is going to be the text that's sort of grayed out within the text field. So I'm going to say, enter your guess. Case sensitive, because it matters. A capital CAR and a lowercase CAR are going to be actually read as 2 different answers. Okay, so here we go. Placeholder text. I'm tabbing out. It says enter your guess. Case sensitive. Now that's great. Now we're going to grab some buttons. So in the lower bottom, lower right, I'm going to start typing the word button. I'm going to click out one button, which is going to help us create a new game. And the second button, which is going to check our answers. I'm going to double click on the word button in the first one, and I'm going to just say start new game. And on the bottom, Again, I could double click it, or like we do the labels, I'll show you another option. Again, I'm in the button because it's highlighted. Instead of the word button, I'm just going to retype in check answer. This is every time somebody types in something, they'll click this button to see, hey, am I right or am I wrong? And now you see it's sort of been cut off or truncated. Not a problem. Just grab these handles and make it a little wider. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to click on one, shift, click the other one. I'm going to go down in the buttons. And again, background is set to blank. I'm going to click on the arrow. And I'm going to use one of my recently used colors, or like I've done before, we can go into other. It'll pop up this color spectrum, and you can pick one. But for the purpose of this one, I'm just going to pick a color I've used before. And then I'm going to go back up to my text color, which is right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines down. Click on that, and I'm going to pick white color. I'm also going to bump up the font by going to font. Click, click, click a few times. And now let's make this a little bit larger. I'm going to just do the full width of the screen for fun. And again with this one. Here we go. Let's make them a little larger. There we go. All right. Perfect. We got our 2 buttons and our text field and our 4 labels that aren't really going to do anything. They're just for show. But now let's get down and grab a few more labels. So down below, I'm going to type in the word label. And I think I need about 4 of these. I do. I'm going to pull out 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to change the first one to say, let's see, I'm going to say guess, just guess. That's all we do. And the next one, we're going to say, we're going to change these programmatically, but say number of games, just so you know. This one, let's make this a little bit clearer. We'll just say number of guesses. Again, we're going to program these a little bit later, but just for now, so we know what we're dealing with. So we have the number of guesses that it takes to get the correct answer, the number of games the person has played. We are also going to say, we're going to need the score. We're going to need a score label. And finally, I think we're going to need a label that shows us whether our answer is correct or incorrect. So I think I'm just going to call that, I'll just call it answer for now. Again, when we get a little bit further in here, but I just want you to know that we're going to actually be changing the values of these labels. So this is great. We've set up our storyboard. We started a new project. We've added a few things here and there. And in our next video, we're going to start making connections to our viewcontroller.swip file and start actually doing some coding. All right, I'll see you in the next lecture.